is not the end, but the beginning of life.
Bonhoeffer, to the gallows!
Get these to my mother. I know you will. Tell her I couldn't find a strawberry, but my words did.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer, for money laundering and your role in the conspiracy to assassinate the Führer on July 20th, you're sentenced to death by hanging.
Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God.
So you've got to determine what the purpose of your life is. And it's not to be successful, it's to be faithful. That's the goal. The problem that most people have, they make the goal of their life to be successful. And then they try and use God to get them to achieve what they perceive to be their success. And that's the wrong objective and aim. The goal is not to be successful. The goal is to be faithful. That's the point of life. Faithful and loyal to your God, whatever the cost and whatever the outcome. And what I love about the Bonhoeffer story, and I want to thank Eric Metaxas for writing the great book on Bonhoeffer, and a lot of that made its way into the film. And Grace and I, my wife, we saw this the opening week of the film, absolutely enjoyed it and appreciated it. And it was just nice to see a pastor not presented as a hypocrite and not presented as one who lacked integrity. It was just nice as a pastor to finally see the depiction of a pastor, and in a regard that many, if not most pastors, love the Lord. They're devoted to the Word of God. They're trying their best to be faithful. The only time you really hear about pastors is when one says or does something wrong, or their critics are attacking them and maligning them and lying about them for things they didn't even say or do. So I just really appreciated finally seeing a true heart of a real pastor, loving God and serving people and trying to do what is the greater good. And he's practicing here civil disobedience, which sometimes you have to do because a government that doesn't submit to God tries to supplant God, and the government's always trying to remove God and then become God, be the sovereign divine authority ruling and reigning over your entire life. And that means sometimes God's people need to practice civil disobedience and to push back, and that's what he did. And had he killed Adolf Hitler, that would have been a righteous and just act, because he would have been taking out a demon-possessed, maniacal, evil man, and he would have been preventing the spread of evil. What I also appreciate, and this is just in general, you're now seeing faith-based films are winning in the marketplace, and I believe that the more faithful the filmmakers are, I believe the more blessing will come from God. So right now, The Chosen is doing very well. My wife Grace and I just caught up last night on House of David, which is well done. They take a little liberty with the storyline. That's always going to happen. Artistic license. You're seeing King of Kings do really well at the box office right now. You're seeing stories like Bonhoeffer do very, very well. You're seeing even Christian-themed movies like Sound of Freedom do very well. And what I really am grateful for is Christian art and film used to be exceedingly cringeworthy. It was embarrassing. You wouldn't want your unbelieving friends to see it because from an artistic and storytelling and cinematographic sort of standpoint, it was so below standards and par. But what we're seeing now, we're seeing faith-based films, Christ-based films, and Christian-themed storylines doing very well. And so may this continue, and may we see John Knox, may we see Martin Luther, may we see John Calvin, may we see some of the great Protestant reformers, may we see Augustine, may we see more of this rich storytelling, pulling people into church history and giving what our world desperately needs, and that is courageous, unflinching faith in the face of unbelievable adversity and hardship. And you know that somebody really believes something when they're willing to suffer for it. When you're willing to die for something, it means you have the deepest loyalty to it. And so I really, really appreciated this film and this scene in particular. I tell you exactly what Pastor Bonhoeffer heard right after this scene. Two things happened. Number one, he saw Jesus Christ face to face. And he heard, "Well done, good and faithful servant." My friends, that's where we're all going, face to face with Jesus Christ. And the goal is to make the last day your best day. And when you open your eyes on the other side of this life, you hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant," because the goal is not to be successful, it's to be faithful.